The title of my poem is The Sad Joy of Fall. It's harvest time, crops are ripening. Now we reap what we have sown and stock up for the coming winter. Furnace filters now require checking. Winter clothing must be relocated. Football season fumbles fast upon us. Despite the chore to rake them away, multicolored leaves rain dazzlingly. Daylight savings time is about to end. Early nightfalls will curtain our days. As the days grow ever shorter, there's a chill in the morning air. People everywhere hasten their pace, moved by the magic of the season.
Well
As I say,
done,
it's a mood
Felix.
piece. It was like the night before Christmas and all through the house.
You had fun with it. Football season fumbles fast upon us. Yeah, that's so sweet. And I like the early nightfalls will curtain our days.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Very,
the
very
days
well
don't grow
done.
shorter, it's just the daylight grows shorter. They stay the same length.
Say that again?
The days do not grow shorter, the daylight grows shorter.
As daylight goes shorter, that's true, yeah. But don't you think there's a kind of combination of happiness and sadness in fall?
Oh, yeah,
Fall
I'm not
is
disagreeing with the
It's kind of a
days.
time when things die, but it's also a time when you harvest and when you look forward to the winter and your pace quickens, your pulse quickens, and it's a happy
Oh, yes.
time as well as a time of reflecting.
Bittersweet.
Especially on the nice days,
On the, because you could,
on the
Which way
blue
do you wanna
sky,
go?
sunny days.
yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, when you write a poem like this, do you keep going at it and rearranging?
Do a lot of it.
Okay, because it's beautifully done, and you want to present them.
Well, I love your comments. That's very flattering. Actually, I did this one rather quickly. I usually take a long time to write a poem. Sometimes I'll start a week or so ahead of time and I'll keep fiddling with it. And I sometimes do 4, 5, 6 drafts. But as Patricia knows, we went walking up to Rec Center, when was it, Monday, I guess? No, Friday. When was it we last walked? Was it Monday? Monday. And I didn't have a clue, I didn't have a poem as of Monday, so I did this last night.
Wow.
Kathy?
All right. ESD. Affecting the nation this year is election stress disorder caused by candidate idiocy. One can only hope for some kind of miracle that will tide us through 2020. That's a short version.
It's a good one.
No. Deep night. Moon-raveled woods in deep night quiet, quivering to the call of the whippoorwill. I am a forest of silence, slightly moon-mad, waiting.
Oh, wow.
That was like those last lines.
Oh, yeah. The forest
Raveled
of
wood.
silence, that's
Like
beautiful.
moon-raveled.
Yeah,
Oh, slightly moon mad, that's,
that's great.
I mean, it's slightly,
Forest of silence. That's a wonderful.
Yeah.
It is.
It's almost like a haiku.
well, you don't have it anymore around here, you can hear the roar of any of the highways around us. Get up and go someplace else.
That's one thing about fall, the woods seem to be particularly beckoning
Yeah,
in
yeah.
fall, but gradually opening up.
The bridges have been really beautiful lately.
I like that, I like that.
Is this the same as that? Yeah. I just divided it roughly in half and there'll be extra, because Kathy told me everyone was here and no matter, we were just demanding the number of people were here. So I followed her advice and she led me astray.
You seem to have a theme
not my-
going on here.
I was counting wrong, I guess.
The horde reappears. The cool fall days with their brisk nights and warmer days inveigled an important pest to reappear in numbers to create a horde. Their appearance, so similar to a ladybug, may confuse embryonic entomologists toward incorrectly placing the entity in the wrong class. Ladybirds are Quicinidae, meaning scarlet beetle, while the slant-eyed invaders are coleopterans, and have no mellifluous interior tetal.
What teetle?
Kyle, I'm making it rhyme for you for Patricia.
Okay.
She, don't rhyme on it at all.
Blame it on me. Or do you mean the other one?
Let her go.
Either one. They're one and the same after all. Not nearly as red, but are scourges from Japan. They do little harm as they are at. But here they are a royal irritant. Not a soul would want them as a pet. Who would want an ugly, inedible tyrant?
I can think of one, yes.
Everything eats them. I mean, they make a list just as they're eaten. The population is kept down by some of them
Just they
munching
don't
on
have any
them.
natural predators
No,
here.
none at all, because they're
Let's
foreigners.
import some.
What they just like we did with for the worms, all the things that are.
Well, I just thought,
Squirrels.
right at first I thought you meant they were in the Japanese diet, and I thought, well, now that's strange. And then you say
Protein.
they're inedible, so I thought, well, that's not what she meant.
What is et?
Eaten, past tense, past passive. It also forged a rhyme too.
Right
Is
with
that
it.
in early English?
It's
Middle
in my,
English?
in Chris's English anyway.
Oh, okay.
That's all it has to
All
be.
right.
That's all that matters, it's in my English.
It's accepted by
Okay.
Words with Friends.
That's one
Yeah.
thing.
Facebook.
Yes.
Thing
Yeah.
like Scrabble. They
Yeah.
will accept, they accept weird things and then they won't accept perfectly valid things.
A pox upon them.
That too.
That's
They're
one.
big on all their houses.
That's one thing that Kuzer writes about in his opening chapters that I'm sure you would object to, is that you have an audience whenever you're writing. Think about who you're writing it for. Is it a person or is it a group or something? And keep that in mind. And Chris, I think, writes for her own audience. She enjoys her words and repels any other criticism.
The visual is really nice on this too.
It's having,
Yeah, but
Moving to the red and the black from the,
I thought that was.
no,
not the red beetle, but the
The black
red
one.
leaves.
No, there's another, there's a book that's titled something like that, about, I think the Crusades.
Yeah, well, that's, he makes reference
Yes,
to
I know,
Stendhal.
but it's
At
like,
the
I don't
bottom.
remember.
The red and the black.
Red.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not invading Stendhal's territory at all. The red on the black. This year, the leaves of the black gum seemed all to turn to their deep red together. The distinctive autumn color came fast,
I know.
but heavy rain and angry wind soon smacked the leaves to the ground, where the slanting morning sun lit them as jewels, glowing hard and bright. And the season advanced 2 quick steps. A frosty chill put a dulling white haze over the red. All the woods were browned and tattered, save the late green of the oaks and hackberry. Firewood took its place in the foreground, and the red on the black gum faded from the fallen leaves, moving to the flannel shirts of the homeowner lumberjacks.
lovely.
You've had a frost where you
All
are?
that just for a dumb joke.
You had frost where you are?
Pardon?
You had frost where you are?
No,
Oh,
last year.
okay, I was just wondering where your weather came from that I didn't participate in.
We had frost one night.
Yeah,
It was very light.
That's
it
true.
wasn't- It wasn't
Yeah,
the
we
killing
did.
frost. It was just the-
I like your phrase, the season advanced, 2 quick steps.
Uh-huh.
That was nice.
And I noticed what you're talking about, that you looked out the window at 11 o'clock in the morning and everything was green and you looked out at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and there were bursts of gold and red and such,
Yeah.
and it seemed
Yeah.
almost instantaneous.
Yeah, a couple of days, last week it was, that you look at the woody world in the morning, and then in the night, evening, it'd be all entirely different. And then the next morning again, it would have advanced, so it was really rapid this fall.
And I'm glad that you used the slanting morning sun, because that is one of the most amazing things that makes it so beautiful for the trees to just light up. And it's just
Yeah.
miracle,
It's better when
the
it-
the
like-
slanting of the sun
Like
is.
mist last night, like fog out, it was more impressive then. Going through it like mist, the rays.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I really like that third stanza.
I have some of these trees over the driveway and walking over them on the rainy, sunny morning, and looking down, it's like I'm walking through a field of brilliant stones.
Or stained glass.
And the dogwood is, half their leaves are gone, but the ones that are remaining are turning redder by the minute.
Yeah, very, very different this year.
Pink
Yeah.
red.
I was ironing leaves with wax paper. And they're just so, it's always so difficult. Like, you just start pushing them down and then one leaf flies away. And I was making a ridiculous whole thing about this for my granddaughter, Clara. I was making stories, and so I was trying to make, there was a little girl with an umbrella and with polka dot everything, and then there was a story about that, and it was just really crazy. I had leaves all over the upstairs, and I mean, it was a mess, but it was fun.
Causing yourself grief.
Yeah, no, it's better than cleaning the house or cooking or anything like that, yeah.
Oh, I think that's it. You have one?
Are there two? Yeah.
There are two poems I'm
There are
passing
two.
There are
out.
two?
Well, I only have one.
I only have one.
Okay, so cute.
I thought it was just one, and I kept counting.
I only have early memory.
Did you get your two?
Cousin,
I have two.
Okay,
I have two.
this one.
You have
I
two?
have
How
two.
many
I
do you
have
have?
one called
One.
Cousin Peggy.
Now, everybody has
But
early
you don't have,
memory.
I
No, I
have
don't.
that.
you don't have early memory?
There's lots of early
You
memories.
need Cousin Peggy.
And where's the other one?
It's coming around.
You okay?
Possess yourself with patience. Patience is a virtue, practice when you can, found seldom in a woman, never in a man.
What a bias.
It does.
Sexism, sexism.
Now, I have to tell you that both of these poems came straight out of the memoir writing class. And this,
What writing class?
a memoir writing class in Nelsonville. We do these exercises, and this first one, Early Memory, was actually something that I didn't want to write at all, but it was like one of those things where she said start, and this insisted on being born. So,
Like most things do.
Robin,
They
you've
do.
heard this one, yeah. I know. I remember hearing the heavy boots on the stairs, the hard pounding on the door, the enveloping fear. Do not let them in. Crying, shouting, my mother repeating, it was a dream, dear. So little I could not be consoled. The scene replayed too frequent, remembering my child's hands on the door. No match to keep them out, to save my family, even as they sat at the breakfast table calmly, watching me, concerned and soothing, until I sat down and ate with them, everyone alive.
Oh,
How old were you?
wow.
How old were you?
Should this be?
Do you remember?
I was like under 5, I
Oh,
think.
wow.
That's my memory.
This was a one-time dream or a recurring?
It was a recurring
Yeah,
dream.
right.
And
Oh.
I've wondered often if it was something from a previous life, you know. I mean, when
Something to wonder about.
when my son was little, he sat up in the middle of the night, he was upset. He said, "There's a man on the highway dying." And I thought, oh my God, we children pick up stuff, you know?
That's probably with all the supposed recurring memories of people in past lives is that we are always imagining, even if we aren't consciously imagining, our brain is so backward doing little stuff of tweaking of reality. And
Yeah.
sometimes it crosses over and makes it, of course you also have the old, the Freudian brain too doing scary things to you, running and not be able to get any place and all that fun stuff.
Right.
Falling off high buildings and that, never landing. You just keep falling.
Well, this dream came before I knew anything about Nazis or anything
Oh, yeah.
like that. You know, that's the thing about that. Later I thought, oh my God, I wonder. On a lighter note,
And that's an early memory from an editorial point of view.
oh yeah, tell me.
The scene replayed too frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I needed a whole life there, right. Right.
Long training.
Dear Cousin Peggy Peyton, I loved you long before you stood at the door of your English maisonette near Nottingham, in open-armed gusto proclaiming, "Welcome to civilization," to us Yanks just arrived from a trip to Ireland. I loved you for being the quintessential conservative, adoring Maggie Thatcher, the Queen Mom, so loyal. "I'll have you know the people of India invited us to come," you insisted. "But surely not to take over the whole country," I argued. I loved you for whispering to me on my wedding day, "You don't have to go through with this. I'll help you get away." Even though I was 4 months gone, with a mother who demanded, "You have to give this baby a father, Lord." Years later, I loved you for taking me to the sea at Skegness, a place of happy memories for you growing up, now delighted to indulge me with boardwalk fortune tellers, not once, but twice, to be told I'd live to 97 before I'd see heaven. I loved you for spoiling me with hot cream tea brought to my bedside, oh, those cozy flannel sheets and thick down comforter. You drew me a lovely bath, a little plastic pillow to rest my royal head, a silver tray across the tub with a heated towel wrap before I was fed. Oh. I loved you for deciding one brief marriage to an alcoholic was enough. Thank you very much. So when I heard the whispered tale that married Uncle James came to visit and later bragged, "She rode me like a tiger." Oh, for shame, them being cousins. I secretly was so proud of you, Tiger Girl. I loved you for living on your own terms, making your way, being the beloved and feared office manager for barristers, having fun as the president of the local Dickens Society. Altogether, a hale, well-met woman, ever curious who never knew a stranger. I loved that we were related, Peggy Peyton, you bon vivant, well-traveled citizen of the world who once invited me to holiday in Italy. That offer touched me, though I had to say no against my will. Not to worry, love. I do so much enjoy your company still.
What a wonderful tribute.
The images are wonderful. I just can see them, feel them.
She was such a character. Oh my God. Never had any children, so she died not terribly long ago. And that's the end of our English family.
And the poem of writing a letter is really wonderful, and it brings something out that you wouldn't think of, or for me anyway, I just,
Yeah.
I found it really,
Yeah, it was a nice device.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've used that letter writing device for poems, and it really works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Works well.
it just brings brings things out that you just wouldn't have thought.
I like that. I hope you get away.
Now, Peggy Payton could be a completely fictitious character also, right? But
That's
she's
right.
not.
That's right.
She is or she isn't?
She is,
She is.
Or was.
or was.
She is a fictitious
No,
character?
no, she was real.
She is real, okay.
She's real.
Very confused.
You know, I like this on so many different levels, one of which is, I guess, most of us, as we're growing up, have people we look up to and admire, and somewhat wilder than we'll ever be, but we still are an Andy Mame kind of a character, or a crazy uncle that we adore, but everybody else is cautious of because he drinks too much or something. But it's wonderful how they serve as mentors, unforgettable
Yeah,
people.
really.
Reader's Digest used to have a series called The Most Unforgettable Character in My Life, and everybody has at least one, if we're lucky, you know,
Yeah,
and maybe more. It's very touching, I think, very moving.
thank you.
Well, and the fact that when we do have these characters in our feast from our families, is that a child exposed only for a short duration, and that for that short duration they're absolutely magical. Whereas the adults see them all the damn time, and all of the peculiarities get really wearying and grow up. We keep saying they won't grow up, and so for a child it was
True, I think.
wonderful, but for an adult seeing them all the time like that, and all the full force of the dippiness.
I saw her less than a half a dozen times in my life.
And what? No,
She made an impression.
did
A big one.
Did the other people find her irritating at all, or talk about her at all? The adults.
Yes, my mother.
So it wasn't that you were exposed to her as much, so you just found her magical.
Yeah,
Whereas they who knew her better supposedly found her to be a pain in the neck. or any other location on YouTube.
Well, see them.
Probably.
well, you can tell she was very opinionated.
Pain in the neckism is a two-way street.
Pain in the neckism? I like that.
Robin, would you pass this?
Yes. There was one right here, you didn't use who when you said it, when you read this.
Oh.
And it seemed like it worked really well without it. I just didn't know that
Oh.
it's one of those ones that you just
Oh, great.
automatically, you know.
Yeah.
Things.
Great.
On the back.
Last line of the next to last stanza.
Right,
On the
you're
back.
right, I
Yeah.
don't really need that.
A hail well,
Hell well.
a hail well met woman, ever curious, never knew a stranger.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Thanks.
Look at it.
And I think that should have hyphens in it, the hail well met.
Oh, man,
Hell, fella.
I'm trying to.
I'll start with who did he belong to? He was curled up to himself like a babe. The remains we found around the bend beside the brook as we perambulated without a care until this old fellow came into view. Poor by his looks and quite dead and cold. Who did he belong to? Who had his heart? Family coat tree, heavy. It sits there with its 3 sets of horns and the mirror atop the hinged seat for galoshes. Upon 4 curved legs, its centuries-old veneer now peeling. When I think of the dear faces it has reflected, I grow restive. Are traces of Grandma not there behind the glass, nor Eddie who died as a child? Did it not absorb anything it reflected? Not even Grandmama, who never had to brush her own hair, or the slave who did.
Well, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Jigsaw puzzle. It's difficult to work a jigsaw puzzle without the big picture, And we don't get to see that until the end.
Right, that's right.
Wow.
That's good, Nan.
Old fun.
She had a lady.
Canes are such
Yes.
fun to use.
Otherwise known as a slave.
You can hobble so much faster. Even use them for swatting. And my old heart fibrillates when we touch. I reckon you know I'm pulling your good leg. Did you guess?
That's wonderful. There was so much, and it was hard for me to even 1969. Okay. Everything was unfamiliar. Guys in Stetsons kicked up their boots on top of the bar to show them off. I was such a rube, I ate a hot pepper. It looked to me like an Amish pickle. Fort Sam was flat and spread so vast, the commissary took most of the day, and a long walk to and from the barrio, where I spoke not a word of Spanish. Gigantic signs stood on the freeways, "Welcome to Military America." Of course I was worried about the rapes. The newspaper put it on the front page. My husband was always on night shift. I piled up pop cans against a break-in. But what was worse was the knocking, happening more on the doors, women crying, screaming, "No, the soldiers dressed in uniforms, messengers of death." The first time we took the bus in the city, we recognized an Ohio friend. At the end of the aisle, he stood shaking. Then he made his way to sit beside us and whisper his vexing intentions. He knew how much he'd lose to cross the Canadian border, leaving for good. We had considered it too. Everybody smoked marijuana, downing sweets, turning on and off the light switch, fast enough to get us dizzy, like 8-year-olds at a birthday party. But Texas would sentence us to life if they found a leaf nickel-sized in the pocket of a scared kid, trying to forget about the terrifying stories. I got a job at Julio Vera Wedding Boutique. A dozen or more bridesmaids bickered about what looks good on a size 20 or a size 1 and what colors and fabrics are fun, while soldiers' parents gazed in the windows with empty stares as they turned to cross the busy street to Brooke Army Hospital, burn ward. Will there ever be such levity for their daughter or their son? I found a dentist on Sam Houston Highway. The office was full of fancy cages, rainbow birds squawking and talking above my dental chair. I hardly noticed the pain, but I never again could make the appointments. The road was constantly closed, blocked for the purpose of dying in shocking numbers of young soldiers. We shared a tacky, squeezed-in rental with Alice and Latany and their dogs, Bismarck and Barley, no space at all. For Thanksgiving, we gathered a crowd from across almost all the USA. We shared our fears. It was hard to eat. The dogs quickly took care of that. They pulled down the turkey, devoured each morsel. All of us held our breath. There was no point in pretending we were here about war and death. Sincerely yours. I hated 1969 and I loved it at the same time. Robert.
Oh my God.
What a tool.
And then just,
It passes proofread or whatever. Spell check, yeah.
It helps to have somebody else look at our writing,
Yeah,
I
I read
swear.
that over. I've been so, I mean, I'm just like, it's sort of like I put it away from me, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously
On the other side of the
the aisle would
page,
have been good.
the last stanza.
Words that we have created to describe a very, very horrible and difficult thing for a lot of people. And the other thing is that we have not only sanitized it in many ways, but not since the Vietnam War, we don't really see, we don't feel it. This was the last time, I think, that we in this country had a sense of what was going on in war. I mean, there's horrible things going on all the time today, and we really don't. I mean, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were, quote, our soldiers are still there. We don't know anything about.
No.
The movie about the bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and in the audience there were survivors of that. And I've recently met a few, when I was in New York, I met a few of the survivors from that. And they will say, of course they will say through an interpreter, that the younger generation in Japan have just forgotten how horrible this is. I mean, and she felt, the women that I spoke to felt that it was their duty to continually remind people about the horrors of this, because you know, even today some people talk about nuclear war, nuclear bomb, what do they call it, targeted nuclear bombs, or you know, it's like strategic nuclear.
Yeah,
This is all just horrible, horrible stuff. And you know, I appreciate the poem, I guess I'm saying, and it touched, like with you, it touched some nerves for me. Thank
Other
you.
than the death, if you want to talk about deaths in your family, we've had no war here in America since the Civil War, yeah, and so we don't really realize viscerally the hurt caused by war, the depredations of enemy armies moving through, or burying of the dead, or the stink of the corpses, or you know, you just
Yeah, you don't.
The English literature is just
stuffed with it.
glories with the writings of World War I, glories of, as far as the abhorrence to it.
Flanders Fields.
I've always objected to the term that a soldier, he gave his life for his country. He didn't give it, it was taken from him. And, but I've been working on a dissertation for a Japanese student who's been working with the YWCA in Japan. And their purpose, the YWCA, one of their purposes is this whole business of peace and globality, as they call it, and that these wars are a terrible thing. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they talk about the people who experienced the bombing of, and the problem that they're trying to do a far eastern bit with the YWCA in China and Korea, and the problems that the Japanese have with the attitude of those people because of the depredations of war. And it really is all...
Well, the Japanese are just working on throwing out their Article 9, is
Yeah.
it?
And they're...
Oh, the problem that Russia has with both.
I think, if you don't, I just want to say what your stanzas, I just realized it came to me, are all about the absurdity of life, and war is part of that absurdity.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to, I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
was there, because I didn't even have to think of it. I mean, it was just, that's how it was. It was
This
just
is almost like a
so-
Fellini movie, in a way.
It's unreality. reality.
But it's life too.
Yeah. It
That
was.
strange
The economy.
weirdness of, I mean,
Well, like the place that I worked, I mean, you can't find jobs, and so I got this job in a wedding place, which is like not like for me. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, I would just make it up. But across from the burn ward, I mean, all day, the helicopters came down. And that we would just look out the window, and these just shattered parents were, just walking up and down. It's just bizarre, and when I look at it, I think, wow,
And-
there's much more of it. There was 2 more years.
that was people being burned in the States
No,
from
They
the
were-
war.
yes,
Napalm.
yeah,
Oh,
uh-huh.
napalm, yeah.
Yeah, Fort Sam Houston, that's the
It's-
burn ward of the,
It's so disturbing
That
To
could have
see-
been another stance.
how mothers are cornered into saying, yes, but he gave his life for a good cause.
Yeah.
To see mothers say that, it
Yeah.
just is terrible.
My
And
oldest-
look at
I'm sorry.
look at the mental atmosphere that we're in now. I mean, it's, half the population is ready to
Go to work, yeah.
I'm wanting
knock
to-
you out, shoot you,
You know,
whatever.
My son was
Yeah.
18, and he was number 11 on the draft list for the
wow.
Vietnam War. And on January the 27th, on my birthday, it came through that the war was over. That was the last
Oh
of
my
the war.
goodness.
Oh my
It was the
God.
most fantastic birthday I ever had.
Oh,
When I was drafted, I was old enough to know better, and I've been educated enough to know better.
But I came to OU in 1969. There were bayoneted soldiers on the streets. We were occupied by the military here, and
Yep.
it was just after Kent State where our National Guard was killing college students, shooting them and killing them. And I used to have students in my classes. I was at Purdue University for most of these years. Would come to me and say, "You can't flunk me out of this class because I'll be drafted and I'll go to Vietnam and I'll get killed. You
Yeah.
got to give me at least a C, give me a D." Yeah, and the other thing that strikes me is,
did you take
pity on them,
Felix?
did I what?
Did you take pity on them?
Often, yeah, I confess I did.
Well,
I tried to keep some standards, but I made them do extra work or something and get them a passing D or gentleman's C. The other thing that I'm struck by this is that a part of you hated it, and now in retrospect are horrified by it, but a part of you loved it. And I think of a very gifted writer in my field, political science, Hannah Arendt, who used to write about the banality of evil. That we get used to damn near anything. If we had corpses on the way to poetry session, we'd probably learn to walk around them and come to
Hold our
poetry.
noses. Yeah, and that's part of it, that when we remember those times, when you remember your youth, no matter how horrendous the youth was, it was when you were strong and young. And so you remember also that aspect of it. So I think we naturally sanitize and memorialize war whether we want to or not. I mean, it's hard to speak badly of when we were young and frisky.
But look how we accept death on the highways.
Yeah.
We in effect walk around corpses all the time. You go past a wreck and you think, oh, it's a wreck. But you don't think about the torn bodies.
And you want to see the bodies, and that's part of the joy of gawking. He's perverted and sick, but we still do
Oh, this is very good. It took us to
Yeah.
the inside of war. Inside. Here we got Jack Hayes.
Jack Lewis. I'm going to build a wall. The election's rigged. I don't like people who get captured. That never happened. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And in my mind's ear, I hear the trump, trump, trump of jackboots coming ever nearer. Then I'll sue every one of those liars, and Mexico will pay for it. Going to make America great again. And I never said that. They're going to take your guns. And in my mind's ear I hear the trump, trump, trump of jackboots coming ever nearer. They were rapists, they were criminals, and Muslims were cheering and dancing in the streets. My first day in office, I'm going to end Obamacare. Russia would never invade Serbia. I never said that. And in my mind's ear I hear the trump, trump, trump of jackboots coming ever near. Lying Hillary should be in jail. I know more than the generals. Throw him out of here. Just throw him out. We should just cancel the election. She doesn't have the stamina. And in my mind's ear I hear the trump, trump, trump of jackboots coming ever near, etc., 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 ad infinitum, ad nauseum.
Oh, my goodness.
I like our previous
Oh, wow.
confusion of fall poems rather than our political.
That's wonderful, Patricia.
Yeah.
You really captured.
You did.
I really like it's like the witches in Shakespeare where you have this chorus that comes
Yes.
in to remind you that Trump, Trump, Trump.
Yeah.
And, so wonderful.
Of Germans who would vote for Trump.
Yeah.
There you go.
It just really,
It's regimented
I
society.
think they've
Match.
gone through that once, they know better.
No,
He does have German blood.
It's autumn. The days are long gone when I would glory in the climb to reach the highest peaks, where I would gaze on the sublime, grabbing all I could of life to win the biggest prize, not seeing what I needed was right before my eyes. Long past is the time when I would rush to meet the seas, to catch the sun's arising and chase the freshest breeze. Now I'm stretching toward that place from which I know I came. It's plain deep in my heart, life will never be the same. The way for me is explicit, the path is crystal clear. Forget the push, the quest, I've lost the drive and fear. There's nothing more to gain, there's nothing more to reach. I've had the chance to learn and I've had the chance to teach. Now's my time to touch the space that lives beyond the deeds. It's to see what's in the harvest. I'm planting all the seeds. I'll watch and feel and listen, take time to just let go. I'm here. It's now, forever. That's all I need to know.
Wow, thank you.
Yes.
Great rhymes, and they come naturally, they
Yeah.
don't seem forced.
Very comfortable.
Excellent, excellent.
Thought I would end us on a warm note.
You needed it.
That
You
is a
needed
good
it.
way.
Sorry about that.
Nice
no, you're not.
Nice to see a structure in the poem.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you were disciplined enough to make the rhymes work.
And Tom, that third line down, when you read to reach the
Yeah,
highest
I
peaks.
When I reached, what did I say?
To reach the
You
highest
put
peaks.
high in there, you put the in there.
Oh, okay.
You read it there. whether-
Oh, thank you, it should be in there. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you probably meant it.
Yes, thank you.
I'm fascinated by the way we leave things out on the page and then we put them in when we read it.
Yeah, we revise it, we read
Yeah.
them.
It just is more natural and it's curious why we do that.
Since we have a little extra time, if you don't mind, I've been wanting to read this whenever I come here. It's a poem about poetry by Pablo Neruda.
I love to read it,
Oh, he's still my beating heart.
yeah.
And I'd like to
Why
read
not?
it, if you don't mind. And then I would meant to bring copies. As you can see, it's a well-worn.
By the way, did you ever see that movie Il Postino?
Yeah,
The
oh,
Italian
that's a
movie.
Wonderful movie.
Oh,
about
yes,
Pablo.
I remember that, yes.
Yeah,
But Neruda,
That was a while ago.
it was, but just yesterday.
Poetry's for people who need it, right? Not necessarily for those who wrote it.
Right.
And I'll be happy to bring, I will be here next time because Joe will be here and I've made special arrangements to be with him. And so I'll make copies if you'd like me to bring it, but I'd like to read it. It's called Poetry by Pablo Neruda. And it was at that age poetry arrived in search of me. I don't know where it came from winter or a river. I don't know how or when. No, they were not voices, they were not words, nor silence, but from each street I was summoned, from the branches of night, abruptly from the others, among violent fires, or returning alone. There I was without a face, and it touched me. I did not know what to say. My mouth had no way with names. My eyes were blind, and something started in my soul, fever or forgotten wings, and I made my own way, deciphering that fire. And I wrote the first faint line, faint, without substance, pure nonsense, pure wisdom of someone who knows nothing. And suddenly I saw the heavens unfastened and open, planets palpitating, plantations, and I, infinitesimal being, drunk with the great starry void, likeness, image of mystery, felt myself a pure part of the abyss. I wheeled with the stars, my heart broke loose on the wind.
Wow.
It's like if you ever,
Romance.
if you ever out in the Grand Valley, where there's a little background night, the night sky is just, it looks like the whole telescope picture to me. It's just so, it's a panoply.
That is
I
wonderful.
wanted to read that today because amongst all of the crap we're getting on the news, and I've, like somebody else had said, I've turned it off because it turned me off. There's still poetry.
Yeah.
Thank
There's
goodness.
still,
Yeah.
there's still these voices that are
And
alive.
would this have been a translation?
Oh, I'm sure it was.
And isn't that fascinating?
It comes through strong and clear, doesn't it?
Yes. Beautiful.
I really like Neruda, and I often am inspired, but when I am totally at a loss of what to write about for a poem, I think of Neruda because he wrote a poem to his socks. It is a magnificent poem. It is an absolutely beautiful poem.
Rest. I mean, really. Gosh, never thought about it that way, you know?
I'm still in full over like that.
But that's what poetry does. It may get you to rethink things. Like Nan's Mirror, you
Yeah.
know, and
I have
Yeah.
a copy of Neruda, or some of his poems anyway. There's so many collected versions, but with Spanish on one side and English on the other. And I know enough Spanish so that I can read them together, you know. There's always the English there as a crutch. And it seems to me that that adds something to the poem to get it in the Spanish and then to see how it becomes English and whether it matches or not. Somehow it adds a dimension.
There was a program here just a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't know anything about it until the last minute because my husband comes to a Spanish group. And it was awesome. I'll bring the book and some of the information. It was a man who was writing about the most beautiful cemetery in Chile. And it's awesome. It's just, but the difference between the two for me was that the poet from Chile, the poems were like Catholic prayers, the sound of them, you know, and you didn't get the sound of that in English. It just isn't there, you know. Anyway, I'll bring those. It was fascinating to me. Yeah.
Did you find it?
I did find it if you want to list it. It's
Yeah.
a little long, but not much. It's called Ode to My Socks. Pablo Neruda died in 1973. Maru Mori brought me a pair of socks, which she knitted herself with her shepherd's hands. 2 socks as soft as rabbits. I slipped my feet into them as though into 2 cases knitted with threads of twilight and goat skin. violent socks. My feet were two fish made of wool, two long sharks, sea blue, shot through by one golden thread, two immense blackbirds, two cannons. My feet were honored in this way by these heavenly socks. They were so handsome. For the first time, my feet seemed to me unacceptable, like two decrepit firemen unworthy of that woven fire of those glowing socks. Nevertheless, I resisted the sharp temptation to have them somewhere as schoolboys keep fireflies, as learned men collect sacred texts. I resisted the mad impulse to put them into a golden cage and each day give them birdseed and pieces of pink melon. Like explorers in the jungle who hand over the very rare green deer to the spit and eat it with remorse, I stretched out my feet and pulled on the magnificent socks and then my shoes. The moral of my ode is this: beauty is twice beauty, and what is good is doubly good when it is a matter of two socks made of wool in winter.
That was great.
I just think he's a fabulous writer.
It's called Ode to My Socks.
It's called Ode to My Socks. Ode to My Socks.
I
Yeah.
have a question. For languages that use calligraphy or hieroglyphics, how is it when they translate stuff into a alphabetic form?
They're going by sound in both languages. It's just, the way we write it is arbitrary.
Yeah.
Because, we just, I have some trouble, I know a woman who translates poems from French into English, and she does not know French. She goes strictly by looking the words up in the dictionary, and I keep saying, Sharon, you miss nuance, and poetry is nuance.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see how you manage to do that. And she doesn't have any sense of an answer
Look at the
for it.
problem with reading instructions that were usually written in Japanese, trying to put something together that was originally probably quite clear and doable. But it was translated, you got parts to go, the right parts with the right slots.
Well, and that, we do haiku in English, but it doesn't work the way it does in Japanese because the language is so different. We do 17 syllables, but they do,
All sorts of stuff.
there's a
Yeah.
different way that they do with the
It
language.
doesn't translate from the Japanese.
Yeah. I always liked the haiku that said, it is very difficult to write a poem that in English is restricted to 17 syllables.
So, that's great.
And then this morning I read a limerick. There was a poet from Hong Kong who said he felt limericks too long. That's it.
Not even dirty.
Well, what a great session we had.
Yeah.
We had
Yes.
Stellar contributions here.
Very, very different. As nature-oriented chaps, and then some of the more distances of age, and as we,
Well, we're just all
You know,
different minds.
You've got me thinking about those wonderful but horrible days in the 60s. 1968 was such a horrible year. The death of Kennedy, the death of Martin Luther King Jr., the death of Malcolm X. There's so many, what a violent people we were. I was a Southeast Asian specialist, so I was going to Vietnam quite frequently, and there was death all
You were a
around me.
special agent
I was just, yeah, that was my specialty in political science in Southeast Asia. I spent 7 years living in Malaysia and Singapore and Japan.
Did the shots ever rain over your airplane like we did with Hillary? Did the bullets rain over your airplane like you did with poor Hillary?
Pro-Hillary?
Remember when Hillary,
Oh,
Hillary
yeah.
I
had
remember when she said that they ran,
through the hail of
Yeah.
gunfire and.
Was it?
No, I was just going to say, I was immortal, as most young people were. I think of themselves. I didn't think about death. We used to fly into Tan Son Nhut Air Base, which is the major base in what used to be called Saigon. It's now Ho Chi Minh City. And the airplane would come in at 30,000 feet and start its descent, but when it got near Tan Son Nhut, it would dive
No joy.
because otherwise they'd be shot at by Viet Cong. And we would be standing, smoking cigarettes in the back of the plane and hanging on. And nobody was telling us to sit down and fasten our safety belts. We were the young immortals. You know, we thought that life went on until it stopped. And
well,
it
it
wasn't going
does.
to be me, it was going to be somebody else who died.
There's a poem
That's
in
just,
that.
that's a crazy
Felix.
fact.
There's a poem in that.
Maybe so, maybe
Yeah,
so.
the young
But
immortals.
The young, that's not a bad phrase, is it?
Yeah.
But
That's
Well,
yours.
it's
All
the
immortals are dead work.
naivete of youth, the blindness of youth, which worries me, the way Tom was talking. I think the current generation doesn't know death the way the older generations do, and they're not scared of it, and so they're more likely to get riled up with jingoism and say, let's go fight a heroic war for God and country. They don't realize
Well, they've been
what
raised on
Video games.
games, these violent games,
Yes.
as well as the violent movies, American movies have
Yeah,
been horrendous lately.
the one thing, I don't watch television, so I don't see a lot of it, but I think in these movies, when somebody gets shot or gets blown up, because, they love to blow things up in these movies, they should show the shattered bodies. They should, bits and pieces all,
Yeah.
Gore.
Well, these people can't find New York City on a map of the United States. It's just amazing.
yeah, I'm dismayed at the ignorance of,
But they know how to whittle their thumbs or whatever, they know how to chase the bad guys and kill them.
I don't know, though. Think of it, how many schools you go to now, and they do some kind of check system, and certain things are left out. I mean, we didn't have, there's a constant threat of death, of random death.